Hey everyone, Andy from WagerTalk.com going over Dana White Contender Series, the last fighting night of the season for Contender Series. They got 6 fights tonight. Should be an incredible night. Go ahead and hit the like button, please, before we get into these fights. And join us on the YouTube channel Takedown Live. Me and my friend Jim have been live every single week this season, and we're going to close it out with a bang tonight. We're watching the fights live, giving out in-fight wagers, predictions, bets, all of that. So we're going to go ahead and break this down. Let me know in the comment section what your favorite play is for tonight. Some of these fights are pretty tricky, in my opinion. There are a few live dogs here. I think this is a night of unders. There's a few fights I don't think are going to go the distance, so maybe that's the route. But by all means, let me know what your favorite play is in the comment section. I love seeing all the comments. I love responding to them. So you guys have been awesome this season except for one particular guy in the comment section. But the rest of you have been awesome. Let us get into let's get into these fights here. So Davi Bittencourt and Rocha, these guys were supposed to fight last week. Obviously, we're going to do it at a catch weight here because we had a missed weight issue. So I am really excited for this fight. This was the fight I was most looking forward to last week. So I'm excited that they've figured out a way to make it work. It's very, very close, as the odds will tell you. I mean, it's even money across the board. So Davi, you're just going to expect a good ground game from him. He is relentless when he shoots in for the takedowns. I love it. I hate lazy shoots. It's like, why even try? Like, there's a difference between a feint and a lazy shoot, and Bittencourt just doesn't do lazy shoots. He goes all out for it, and he gets them. So I love that. He's very, very active on the ground. If he does get you down on the ground, the ref is not standing it up because he's always active. He's got decent striking on the feet. Leg kicks are pretty good, but make no mistake, everything is to set up the takedown, which is okay. I sometimes I look at some of these guys who you can just tell that they're just using their strikes to set up the takedown, and it's very obvious. And some of them I think would be a little bit more well served to focus on the striking a little bit more because it gets predictable. So with Bittencourt, you know what you're getting. You're getting some strikes to set up the takedown. If he gets you down, he's probably going to hold you there for the rest of the round. Rocha, he got taken down in his last fight, but that was in the first round. And then he goes on to, really dominate the next 2 rounds. This was a really good win against Tace da Silva. So he's got really good cardio. His ground game is good, and I don't know if it's as good as Bittencourt. It's pretty close though. I lean Bittencourt for the ground game. His striking is good, but it does get sloppy as the fight goes on. It just doesn't maintain its crispness. And I know you could say that about everybody, but his really starts to drop a little bit. By the way, if you want to see a ref who doesn't know how to stop a fight in time, go look at this Eduardo Castro finish. Good Lord. Guy got knocked out while he was standing. The ref lets him eat 15 ground and pound shots. I mean, just like the guy's a dead man laying on the canvas and dude's just mashing his head in. Very dangerous. So my take on this fight, I don't have a take on who's going to win. This is just going to be an amazing fight, and I love the over 1.5 rounds. That's the way I would attack this. I think the first round is going to be very, very close, and I don't think either of these guys are going to get a knockout on the feet. And I think on the ground, both these guys are so active that it's going to be just a wild scrap. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And these guys are evenly matched. The odds suggest it, so I have no opinion on who's going to win. But I do think taking something on this fight to go the over, maybe an alt line on over 1.5. Maybe if you got something you really like, the over half a round, if you're using DraftKings and that allows it. But I like something with this fight to go over. For purpose of the video, if I'm forced to make a pick, I'm going to slightly lean Bittencourt to win by decision. I think his cardio is just a little bit better. So if it goes all 3 rounds, I think he definitely is going to win round 3. But I'm not betting anything on the outcome of the fight. I just want to look at some of these totals and going over. Isakov and Marquel, Mederos. Let's see what. So they have Isakov as minus 160, plus 130. Obviously, check your books today. These lines are just gonna, kind of, some of them are gonna keep going all over the place. So, in my opinion, Mederos, I'm not a big fan of his striking offense or his defense. like it feels like he gets popped and then he kind of shoots in to implement grappling. He's got pretty good cardio. His scrambles are pretty good. I don't know. There's just something that I don't like about his striking. Like I said, his offense and his defense. It just doesn't seem UFC caliber, right now. I mean, this poor guy that Justice Lamperez, this poor guy that he beat last fight. I mean, that was a joke. That wasn't even funny. And then, so I, I'm not really sure what to expect from him tonight. If this fight against a no name, kind of bad opponent, if this would have been like 6 months, 9 months ago, I would say okay, he's had time to clean things up. But this was in June, so I don't know. I don't like Mederos in this fight. I'm gonna lean Isakov. I just like his fundamentals. He's like Tim Duncan, the big fundamental. He just doesn't make mistakes. He's got solid striking. He's got solid takedowns. And I like the way that he just controls his fights, especially on the ground. Isakov, when I look at Isakov's fights, he's always in control, or at least, most of the time, he's in control of the fight. Mederos, it feels like, oh, he's off of his back foot now. Oh, he just got hit, but he shot in to get a clinch. I don't know. It just doesn't, Mederos just doesn't put a lot of confidence in me to make a wager on him. So I actually like this price if it's around minus 160. I don't know if it's, I mean, if you're a really, really big fan of Isakov, it's not that bad of a price. I think he's just going to control and be the better fighter here than Mederos. This is another one potentially that goes over. I'm not as confident as this one going over as I am the Bittencourt and Rocha, but maybe over 1.5. I just think Isakov is just going to kind of excel and just be a little bit better everywhere and pull away late. So I do like Isakov in there. If the price is, less than minus 180, I think it's worth taking a look at. I probably will not be betting on it, but I do lean Isakov in this one. Okay, Torrez, Finney, and Yuri Panferov. This is going to be an amazing one. So if you have not watched Torrez Finney, this guy's 5'7", is just, I mean, a brick you-know-what house. This guy is a monster. And what's crazy is he's got cardio to go with it. Like, when I first saw this guy just standing there, I was like, this guy has no cardio. There's no way. These big guys don't have cardio. And he does. So he's always going to be the shorter fighter, but he's always going to be the stronger fighter, I think. And Finney is just looking to grab you, take you down, and maul you. And he can do it. I mean, he does the thing where he picks up guys, basically puts them on his shoulder and walks them over to his corner and puts them down, a la like, Makachev or Chimaev. It's impressive considering he's 5'7", but he's just massive. He's going to have a big height disadvantage tonight. He's used to it. It doesn't bother him, so I don't think it will bother me. And again, his cardio. This fight he won by decision. It was actually a pretty decent scrap. Now he dominated, he won on the ground, but he didn't finish. But in round 3, man, he was not huffing and puffing and dead to the world like we've seen a lot of these big guys. So he's got to finish here in round 3. He's a monster, man. He'll pick you up, get you down, and his ground game is really, really good. And he is just so, so strong. So Yuri, the Russian polar bear, not really sold on him. And we talked about cardio. We have not seen this. We've not seen this cardio from this guy. Suspect competition here. I'm not really sure he's fought the best. The last fight I did watch him in, I wasn't really that impressed. He's going to be taller, and he is going to be bigger because he dropped down a weight class, so he is going to be bigger once he fills out for this fight. I don't like his technique. He does have these, he does have round 1 finishes, so you can't ignore that he can lock up a Kimura or a rear naked choke. I just don't think he's going to be able to do it against Finney. I don't think he's strong enough. And these guys that he has been able to do it against have not really pushed him. I mean, 4-4 is okay, but even though he gets credited with the round 1 Kimura, I didn't think he looked great. Ron Marshall, that fight was terrible. He's 2-4. So I think think Yuri's just going to be a little bit overmatched, despite the fact that he is taller. And I think my big worry is that Finney goes way too hard, way too early. But if he's patient, I think he's going to be able to get Yuri down and end up winning on the ground, probably by finish. So that's my prediction on this one. I would not take unders in this one because I got to be honest, this Yuri. We've not seen his cardio tested at all, and it would not surprise me if he's tired by rounds 2 or 3. And if he is, Finney is not going to be that tired, and he's going to have the cardio advantage. So it's going to be a wild fight, to watch. There is something funny about Finney. What did Jim tell me? So check out this guy that he beat, Big Daddy Jake Zog, 1-14. So this is one of Finney's Finney's opponents that he beat. So. I just gotta say, it's tough if you're Chris Galinsky and you're Jake Zog's only win. That's a tough L to take. But anyway, I like Torrez Finney over Yuri. Connor Matthews and Jair Farias. So we've obviously seen Connor Matthews before. He fought against Francis Marshall on Contender Series. It was a weird fight because he technically did make it the distance. He lost, and he got his ass kicked. I mean, make no mistake. He was beat up at the end of that fight. So that's his only loss. Francis Marshall was kind of high on. Hasn't been amazing in UFC, but you got to give Matthews credit. He does get a rear naked choke after Contender Series. They invite him back. There's a lot of questions you could ask about Connor Matthews here. So, fought 0-7 for his first fight, fine. 1-8, all right, fine. All right, now your third fight, 2-1, okay. Then he gets the Jay Ellis treatment. So he beats someone, Jay Ellis. Then he fights someone that's 1-2. And then just a big jump up in competition to go on Contender Series. And he survived, but he did get worked over pretty good. And then... okay, this is more. Andrew Cruz is a little bit more of what I would expect him, to fight. And he does get the rear naked choke. I do like that he's had some time off between his last fight, and then to work on his game and what he's going to do. And I would hope that he's been working on his wrestling and his takedowns, because I think that's his path to victory. To be honest, that may be his only path to victory. But if he can implement it, he is a strong guy, and I think he does have a chance to pull the upset here. Farias is, he's long, he's a little bit lanky. I mean, he's going to be 3 inches tall, but he has these ridiculously long arms and legs, and he's 10-0. Really, really good record. Problem is, I'm not sold on some of these promotions that he's been fighting out of. And he can be taken down, and he can be controlled on the ground. So, if it stays on the feet, I think it's Farias. But this fight against Leon Oliveira had taken him down and was winning the fight because of taking him down and being on top of him and controlling him. And then Oliveira gets up, steps weird, I don't know if he broke his foot or whatever, but he had to retire in round 3, despite the fact that he was winning. So. If Connor Matthews has been really working on the wrestling and takedowns, I think he can pull the upset here. If it stays on the feet, I just don't think Connor Matthews has the striking defense to stay out of the way of those long jabs and reaches. So it's a fight I am not going to be betting on, but Connor Matthews is absolutely a live dog in this one if he decides to work the ground game. So if I'm forced to make a pick for this video, I'll go ahead and say Connor Matthews and see if he can pull the upset. This is not an official play. It's not anything I would recommend betting money on, but for purposes of the video, we'll go ahead and say Connor Matthews has a pretty good shot at pulling the upset. All right, Zenidim and Andre Lima. I'm very excited for this fight because I'm really excited to watch Andre Lima. So we're looking at Zenidim and... so both of these guys have been in a lot of fights, a lot of experience, and we look at Zenidim, who's only 24, and he's been in these fights. So my notes here, he got dominated by Rodrigo Vera on the ground, dominated. Vera got him there and did not let him up, and I thought that was a gigantic red flag, that he could be worked over that dominantly on the ground. So that's a pretty big worry. But then this next fight, he wins in a pure stand up battle. So I think it's pretty clear what we're looking at here is, Zenidim, if it's a stand up battle, he's got a really good chance. His striking is okay. I wouldn't put it as great, but the gigantic hole in his game, I believe, is the takedowns, and that's why this fight is really interesting for me, because Andre Lima 6-0, but look at all he's got a kickboxing background, so great kickboxing record, and I got to tell you, this fight against Tylon, Lima looked incredible. Like he looked like a natural like grappler. He jumped on Tylon's back in the first round and just looked completely calm, cool, collected. Looked right at home. He gets the finish with ground and pound with 1 second left. And when he got up, he was not breathing hard at all. Like he worked the positions so beautifully and didn't even break a sweat through 2 rounds trying it. So I know that he can win by punches. He does, his kickboxing boxing background. He's knocked out some guys in the first round. I was amazed at how good his grappling looked. And so it wouldn't surprise me in the slightest if Lima, the kickboxer, wins this fight by a dominant ground game, grabbing the back, maybe grabbing a choke, winning ground and pound, because I've seen Zenidim get dominated before, and I just watched Lima do it to somebody else with a 7-2 record in LFA and a beautiful performance. So I like Lima a lot. I think this could be a really good showcase fight for Lima if he puts on the type of display that he did last fight. So my pick in this one is Lima. I don't know. If he tries to stand and bang with Zenidim, I think he leaves Zenidim wide open to be a live dog. I just don't think he's going to do that based on what I saw in the last fight. So my pick for this one is Lima, and I feel pretty confident about that one. Ramon Taveras and Cortavious Romious. So Taveras' last fight went exactly how I thought it was going to go. I don't think he's very good. He's a boxer who's fought nothing but cans. These guys that Taveras has fought just stand in front of him and let him punch him. He finally fought somebody that could punch back, and he got knocked out. And then Dana White, well, it was an early stoppage. We'll give you another chance. It was almost like Dana needed Taveras to win, or wanted Taveras to win, or had financial investment. I don't know, but he gives Taveras another shot. And if Dana did want him to win, he did not give him the right opponent. So my breakdown from Taveras in the last fight still is the same. I don't think he's very good. His punching, okay, it's got power behind it, great. Haven't seen it against a really good opponent yet. He finally fought somebody good and got knocked out in the first round. We haven't seen his ground game tested, and I thought that Sadi in the first fight was going to test his ground game. He didn't even need to test it because he knocked him out. So enter Cortavious Romious, who is going to test this ground game of Taveras. And I like Romious. I love his nickname, Are You Not Entertained? So Taveras is he's a stand-up boxer, wants to brawl. He's got pretty good striking from the boxing stance, but I think he leaves himself too open. And what you're going to see is Romious start this fight off lightning fast. That's what he does in every single fight. He lands a bunch of wild strikes, and it is all to try and get you to the ground. And once he gets you to the ground, he is a pit bull. He is not leaving you alone. There's not going to be any dull moments in a Cortavious Romious fight. I actually think if he's going to move up, he needs to be a little bit more patient because, he gets armbar round one, rear naked choke round one. And he lost a split decision. And, before that, he did win a decision unanimous, but he's winning all these fights early. But for him to have more success down the road in UFC, he's not going to be able to win every fight by round one. Can he do it in this one? Yeah, I think if he gets Taveras on the ground, I think absolutely he can win it. I think his ground game is just good enough. His pressure's amazing. His technique is more than good enough to get someone like Taveras down. It keeps getting better with each fight. And I like these arm bars and rear naked chokes. It's not just overwhelming and ground and pound. He's got some levels to his finishes on the ground. And I didn't like Taveras going into his first match. I just don't think he's a well-rounded fighter. And I still don't think he's a well-rounded fighter. I don't think he's improved his game that much over the last, 6 to 7 weeks. So I think this is properly priced here on Romious minus 225. You're probably looking to put it with something else, but I have Romious, and when the props come out, to be honest, I think Romious inside the distance might be a pretty good play. I don't think Taveras lasts 3 rounds against him unless he can somehow weather the early storm and tire Romious out. But Romious has been to decision a couple times. So Taveras is going to have to win on the feet, and I just don't think Romious is going to let it stay there for too long. The catch would be is because Romious is probably going to rush in, and if Taveras is ready to pop him, on that initial rush in, he could. I just don't think it's going to happen. So I like Romious to win that one, and I like the unders on this one. So Bittencourt and Rocha, ever so slightly into Bittencourt by decision, but I think taking overs is the best way to go after this one. I do like Isakov over Marquel Mederos. Pretty fair price. That's my lean on this one. I don't think I'll get to the window on that one, but there's the lean on that one. Finney, I do like over Panferov. I just think his wrestling and shockingly his cardio is going to be too much for Yuri unless there's a random submission. But I think Finney's so strong, I don't think Yuri's going to be able to pull it off. Connor Matthews and Jair Farias. Ever so slightly into Connor Matthews as a live dog. I think the price is good, and if he can wrestle and get Farias down, that's where Farias is, the hole in this game is. Zenidim and Lima, I'm going to take Lima on this one. I love what I saw just from the slick way he got his opponents back last time, and I've seen Zenidim be dominated on the ground, so I think Lima's got the big advantage there. And then Romious over Taveras. I like Romious' pressure and ground game. I think he gets the finish over Taveras. So, all right, guys, there you go. Don't forget to like button. All plays can be found on WagerTalk.com. Don't forget to join us here on Takedown Live. Well, not here, but it's the YouTube channel Takedown Live. We'll be there watching the fights live, giving out our picks, tips, predictions, and in-fight wagers. Leave us a comment. Tell us what your favorite pick is for today. Good luck on all your bets, and we will see everyone next video.